Hey, Kevin here, top 100 financial advisor, two-time author, one-time bestseller, and we are here to talk about the stock market. I want to get into Slack, which their ticker symbols work, so it always kind of throws me off. I want to get into Slack and Salesforce and what may be coming down in the next few weeks or months. We'll see. But before we do, two things. Number one, hit the like, share, and subscribe button. Number two, I wish you guys a happy, I want to say Merry Thanksgiving. So I just am. Merry Thanksgiving to everyone. I know it's going to be different, definitely different for me and most people. So just let's do the best we can and be thankful for the things that we do have. And lastly, and this is the third extra thing, make sure that you are on the email list. I'll make sure to put that link above. I'm doing something special for y'all because number one, it's been a long year, but it'll also be our 5th year wedding anniversary on Saturday. So on Friday, you're gonna get an email from me. Check it. Make sure that you read it in full, but also make sure that you don't send me to the spam box. That happens. So when you sign up, make sure you click the confirm button. That helps you out because I be sending gems like all the time. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. So Slack was you kind of know, it's kind of like the messaging. I don't like to call it a messaging app, or I'm sorry, they don't like to call it a messaging app. It really helps people to be more productive. Their main goal when they went public last year was to replace email. So they have a lot more organized threads. You can get a lot of stuff done, instant messaging that you can actually call people on there too, which is kind of weird. Send attachments. It can help you to be more productive. And like they say, again, completely replace email. I've had been in the paid versions, the free versions. I'm not really all that excited about it, but whatever. That aside, but this also talks about IPOs, and we've been talking about Airbnb. We'll get into DoorDash and others. But last year when they went public, it was supposed to be this big thing. As with or a lot of other IPOs, until today, they were down 25% from last year, which obviously is huge. And they were down before COVID. So it just wasn't looking good. This just made it worse. Today, though, they were up close to 35% on the news that Salesforce, like the larger company that was just inducted into the Dow Jones not too long ago, a few months ago, and that's big news for them. So ironically, for whatever reason, Salesforce was actually down 5%. Don't know why. And Slack shot up 30 some odd percent. Now, why could this deal make sense? This is speculation. This is a report. It is not fact, at least not yet. So it could happen, could not. We'll see. We also know that it wasn't, again, until today that from IPO all the way back to last year that Slack was even worth anything to look into. So if you got into it and you just held on to it until today, you would have made 8%, which you made 8%. So I'm not mad at it, but it's not like the big boom. It didn't make you rich overnight. The only way you would have got rich overnight is if you just happened to have known this in advance, which is kind of illegal, and bought it like yesterday or the day before. So not every, we'll see what happens after. We'll see if they actually do get acquired by Salesforce or not. We don't know. Salesforce on the other side of things is up 51% on the year. I want to give you some context to that number. I always like to give you context instead of just throwing out like, hey, this stock is at this percent. So let me pull this up real quick. I had it earlier. All right. You can't see the screen, but you guys can see me. So it looks like Salesforce is up 51%. For comparison, the overall stock market is up 12%, which is why even when you factor in today's news, Slack is like, hooray. No big deal. I could have just invested in an index fund and still made more than Slack as of today. We'll see what happens in the future. For context, though, again, Salesforce is up 51% this year, and Apple is up about 58%. So Salesforce is right up there with Apple from the beginning of this year. Now, if you go back 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, things could be actually very, very different. I'm actually going to hit the 2-year button just to give you more context. So going back 2 years, this is back in 2018, November 2018, the overall stock market is up 38% versus Salesforce at 102 and then versus Apple at 167. So Salesforce and Apple are much closer together than the overall stock market. And again, it was just inducted to the Dow, which doesn't really move the stock per se, but it is a big deal that does show that they're growing. Now the question is, well, should you invest in Slack or should you invest in Salesforce or do neither or do both? Totally up to you. Now the way I view it, I do have Salesforce on my radar for December. You guys know I go in and I make changes in December. I'm going to update my monthly watch list. I think it's time to do my quarterly watch list. So I will keep it on the radar. No guarantee is going to make it on either one of those. I got to compare it to everything else. So we'll see what happens with Salesforce. I'm not a big fan of Slack yet. If it is acquired by Salesforce, we'll deal with that issue when it gets here. But it's a big thing. It's a bigger thing for Slack than it is for Salesforce. Salesforce, they do a lot of stuff, but they do help companies as customer relationship management. So help you to figure out where your sales are, who to contact, who not to contact, all that kind of stuff. And if they buy, which is what an acquisition is, if Salesforce buys Slack, it's really going to help Slack out. And Salesforce is going to just do what they do and incorporate it wherever they want to incorporate it. But it's really a big thing for Slack, like a lifeline for Slack, because they're just not doing it right now. They haven't been doing well. But also on Salesforce side, since their shares are down or were down 25%, for Salesforce, it's like, look, I can buy you for cheap. This is a reason when you get acquired, it's not always a mutual thing. It's like, hey, look, you are cheap. I'm going to buy you and I'm going to go about my merry way, and it's going to make me a better company for doing it. So that's the thing you have to realize too. The reason that if Slack were as good as it was, they wouldn't be in talks with acquisition. Something's wrong at Slack. That's why they're looking to get bought. A part of it, Slack says, is because of the pandemic. That's fair. I don't think that is the best excuse or the best answer. And the reason is you're a digital company, just like Salesforce and Microsoft and others. You should have been, or Zoom, especially. They're somewhat of a competitor to Zoom, somewhat. Because of those, I would say this should have been your best year. You should have been right there with Zoom, right there with Microsoft. Microsoft launched, and they've always had it, but they launched, or they've had it before. They really took off with Microsoft Teams. And one of the reports says the reason why Slack hadn't done as well, COVID and Microsoft Teams is kind of holding them down to a degree. You call it how you want, but the way I see it, if you were as good as you said you were in 2019 and this happened, this should have been a perfect scenario, just like it was for Microsoft Teams, just like it was for Zoom, and it didn't happen for them. So it is what it is. But that's how I see it. Just like, I think, I forget the name of the company we had talked about earlier, but I'm going with the bigger, more stable company. You tell me a company's made 51% in 2020, which is what Salesforce is going to be on my radar. I don't know if Slack will ever see another 30% day. You never actually know that. And if it doesn't happen, then I'm really concerned because it could actually go in the opposite direction. So we'll see. But as you guys know, I go with the tried true method. I don't want to sit here and stress myself out and really dig into the weeds and hope and pray that that is going to continue a miracle. So we'll see where it goes. It is a big news story. It will likely, stay in the news at least for the next few days. We'll see how Thanksgiving and Black Friday, clear the board and just shake everything up. But again, that's why we talked about it, weeks ago. So if you wanted to be in position and you were watching the videos, you're in position for that now. So we'll see what happens. I think that's what's going to kind of dominate the market over the next few days, as well as the virus. It's still out there. The stimulus is still out there or not out there, wherever it is. Those are still going to run the market at least over the next few days. All right, so that is it for me. Again, make sure you sign up for the email list. You will get an alert from me. It will be cool. It can save you some money, maybe, but it's only going out to the email list. You're not going to see it on my Instagram. You're not going to see it here on Facebook. You got to be on the email list. All right, talk to y'all later. Bye.